let's begin the broadcast with breaking updates coming in. A concerning update from the Strait of Hormuz. An Indian crew member has been killed after two UAE oil tankers were hit by the Iranian cruise missiles. 8 other crew members have also been injured in the attack. 6 of them are Indians. According to the UAE, the tankers were sailing through Omani territorial waters when they came under missile fire. The vessel suffered the attack, while the second tanker, Al Bahia, was also struck. UAE has condemned the attack in the strongest terms, calling it a violation of international law. My colleague Mayank is joining us on the broadcast with the details. And Mayank, this is extremely concerning. This is also the second such incident in the last 2 days. What are the details? Does it mean that currently every vessel that is currently in the waterway can come under attack? Because many of them are also India crewed.
Absolutely, Pratibha. The most important point which we need to remind to our viewers and for their understanding, in the beginning when the war started and after that the movement was stopped, IRGC had been, or Iran has been saying that it is them who will be, or the IRGC is the one which will be giving permission for any kind of a movement which can be civil or merchant vessel. And they had created a corridor, and besides that, nothing could move. And that's why they are saying that anything moving out of it is actually illegal. And they are quoting the 5th point of Memorandum of Understanding, which says that safe passage which will be arranged by the Iranians, and that would be free for almost 60 days. But what comes in is actually, after that, there was a naval blockade from the US side, which stopped every vessel which was moving towards or coming out from Iran. Now what happens, the ratio, the proportion of the Indian seafarers in this area or across the globe is very, very high. We need to not to forget that almost 18,000 was the number quoted before this second round of volley has started, of military operation has started. And 18,000 were the numbers which were not only on board, but they were offshore also, manning the facilities which work for the movement or safe movement of these vessels. What happens is actually, we need to also remember that in one of the operations, when the naval blockade from the US side was on, one of the merchant ships was hit and one of the Indians had lost life, them also. It becomes really incumbent upon us that advisories are issued in such a way that the people follow and lives are saved and it doesn't get repeated. But then proportion, as I said, is very high of Indians seafarers.
Yes.
Thus, it might happen that even if the next time any ship is hit, we might find an Indian on board. And what also comes in between is actually that Iran again has said that nothing moving out of their corridor, which they have decided is going to be illegal, Pratibha.
Yes.
It gets complicated further.
Absolutely, it's very complicated because currently it looks like every vessel can come under attack, either by the Iranian side or by the US side, and that has been very clear. Do stay with us, Mayank. UAE Ministry of Foreign Affairs has condemned in its strongest terms the Iranian hostile attacks targeting the national oil tankers. Now, let's get you the statement that has been issued by the UAE. Now, this becomes very important. The regional factor becomes very, very important. The UAE has condemned and denounced in the strongest terms the Iranian hostile attacks that targeted the national oil tankers with 2 Iranian cruise missiles while transiting the southern shipping lane of the Strait of Hormuz within Omani territorial waters. In this statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has affirmed the Iranian hostile attack resulted in the death of 1 Indian national. So that has been confirmed in this official statement. The death of 1 Indian national and injury of 8 others, including 4 who sustained serious injuries. Of this 8 as well, there are 6 who are Indian nationals. The injured comprise 6 Indian nationals and 2 Ukrainians. The ministry extended its sincerest condolences. And then it comes to Iran again, saying the ministry underscored that this Iranian hostile attack constitutes a flagrant violation of the UN Security Council resolution, which affirmed the importance of freedom of navigation and rejected the targeting of commercial vessels. We have Major General Shashi Asthana joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for joining us. Major General, this is extremely concerning. Indian nationals have been killed. And it doesn't look like the attacks are going to stop because these threats are currently continuing from both sides, Iran as well as the United States. How is it going to proceed from here?
See, these attacks are going to continue for some time, but thereafter the attacks will peter down because, in my opinion, Iran doesn't have to attack to the extent they are attacking. Subsequently, Iran will switch on to the asymmetric warfare, because even if they attack one or two tankers on a daily basis, it is good enough to block the Strait of Hormuz. As far as Americans are concerned, irrespective of how much they bomb Iran, they will not be able to convince the crew members of those ships and the insurers to move those tankers. So it will remain closed irrespective of how much America bombs Iran. Now there is a limit to, I don't think Iran is going to submit to America by any stretch of imagination. As far as the legality is concerned, let me be very clear. I think there is a fair amount of perception which is going wrong in media as well. See, there is something called as UNCLOS 3. That is the rule of the movement in the sea. Now, as per UNCLOS 3, America has not signed this UNCLOS 3. Iran has signed but not ratified.
Okay.
We have signed and ratified. As per that, for 12 nautical miles is territorial water.
Yes.
This is what Iran is saying.
Yes.
That this is my territorial water, and in that territorial water, I am supposed to, if my security is threatened, I am supposed to lay down the rules of business.
Yes, that claim has been made by Iran time and again. Unfortunately, we're seeing that all the vessels have come under attack. Major General, thank you for joining us. We'll have to leave it at that way. We have more breaking updates coming in. Iranian missiles have struck 2 oil tankers. That's the latest update coming in. The IRGC has defended the attack on Emirati tankers. The tankers violated the regulations. The IRGC saying that these tankers ignored repeated warnings. So the Public Relations Department of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has said that this is an attack that has been launched on 2 oil tankers. And IRGC says that these attacks on the Emirati tankers took place because they had given repeated warnings, and all of these warnings had been ignored. News editor Foreign Affairs Akanksha Swaroop joins us on the broadcast with the details of Iran's response. And Akanksha, it is clear that Iranian side has only defended its attack on the tankers. So UAE has condemned these attacks and has called it aggression by Iran. Iran says that the regulations have been violated. There were multiple warnings given. There was no response, and that's why IRGC had to launch the attack.
Absolutely. And Pratibha, these are 2 national oil tankers belonging to the UAE, Mombasa and Al Bahia. They were attacked with 2 Iranian cruise missiles. Remember, they were not just carrying Ukrainian nationals, but the one Indian national who has lost his life. The fact of the matter is that Iran is equally responsible for the killings of foreign nationals now. If they say that people in their country are being killed, then what is it that they have to offer in terms of an explanation with regards to all of these innocent foreign nationals who are being targeted on the commercial shipping vessels as well? And so UAE not only has condemned this attack, we are awaiting a formal condemnation to arrive from the Ministry of External Affairs at the moment as we speak. There's a lot of chatter, I can tell you, within the ministry group where we are requesting them for a response. But remember, the word coming in from UAE is also a strong and a very stern reminder to Iran that there is a need to, in fact, put up with the maritime laws of the sea, which are in alignment with the United Nations. And what we are observing right now is in clear violation of the UNSC Resolution 2817. As you rightly highlighted, Iran has come out with that response that the IRGC did fire those warning shots. That's exactly what they've been saying. Even when GFS Galaxy, the Cyprus-flagged vessel, was attacked just 2 days ago, where an Indian seafarer, remember, is still missing. Many of the others were rescued, but that one Indian seafarer is still missing.
Yes, and we've seen two such attacks now. Do stay with us. We have more breaking updates coming in of how tensions are only rising across the Middle East as well. Air raid sirens have been sounded in Bahrain, with authorities activating the country's air defense systems as a precaution. Gulf nations remain on high alert, Mayank, because these concerns continue that they could become the potential targets if this regional conflict continues to escalate.
Pratibha, the tactics from the Iranian side had been, and they had always proclaimed that any air base, which is military air base of the US, which is based around the Strait of Hormuz, one, or any logistical support or administrative support or any infrastructure which is being used to launch an operation on them, will be treated like an enemy area. So what they are saying is actually it becomes legitimate for them as a defensive posture to attack those places. And this is what exactly they are doing. And by now, we have already counted almost 6 nations or 6 countries which are jutting around or which are encircling Strait of Hormuz, which have been hit. And not only the areas which are air bases, but the areas like rododomes or which are hosting radars or which are hosting some kind of facility to launch operations on the Iran had been coming under attack. This is the kind of operations which have been used by the IRGC. The other point is actually they had been firing missiles and drones, which was being proclaimed that their ability to fire them has been not only struck down, had been brought down, but then what we see is actually Iran had been continuously using multiple kinds of missiles, which can be cruise missile, which is ballistic missile also, and drones which are of multiple types. Thus, it becomes really complicated, and we can understand that operations, if they continue, it can be more devastating for the coming time for the other countries in the region, Pratibha.
Yes, absolutely. Stay with us. Let's also tell our viewers the targets of Iran in the last 24 to 48 hours. These are the places that have been struck. Let's tell you how US has also struck key Iranian sites and Iran has also responded. Now, Iran responds not by targeting US directly, of course, but by hitting strategic sites in the region, including the US bases. And multiple such attacks have taken place in Bahrain, an attack also taking place in Jordan. But in Bahrain, it is the US base that was targeted. In Kuwait as well, the US surface-to-surface missile base was targeted by Iran. In Kuwait, the fuel depots, the air defense infrastructure has been targeted by Iran. And similarly, in Oman as well, the FPS long-range systems, the detection radars have been targeted by Iran. So there have been targets of Iran on strategic points of the United States. And that's the reason why in the entire region, there is a high alert. Let's also get you more breaking updates now coming in of Iranian strikes and the response that has come in from Trump. Now, the Hormuz standoff has taken quite a dramatic new turn. The US President Donald Trump has announced that naval blockade will be reimposed. And he says that it will span the Persian Gulf, the Sea of Oman, and the Strait of Hormuz. Trump also has made it clear that global shipping will be allowed to pass through, but not the Iranian ships and the ships of the countries doing business with Iran. Here is what the US president has said.
Well, I think it's going very fast. We've demolished their military. We're hitting them very hard. We had a deal yesterday or the day before yesterday. It was all done. And then they broke up that deal immediately because they found out there was something in the deal they didn't like. And they're wired differently, and we're not going to put up with it. We are just going forward. We're attacking them tonight. We're taking out all of their capability for anything having to do with the Strait, with the Hormuz Strait. And I think in the end, we will end up just controlling the whole thing. And what they're doing is being very foolish, very stupid, and they've treated people horribly.
So, Akanksha, that complicates the situation further. In fact, Trump has also gone on to say that the United States will also charge 20% fee for the cargo that is shipped through the Strait of Hormuz. How will it work?
That absolutely makes it even worse than what Iran was declaring, because remember, what Iran was charging was close to $1 to $2 million dollars per vessel, and they were targeting an annual return of, say, $40 billion. But now what the US president is announcing is 20%, and that's humongous. 20%, depending on the cargo that the vessel is carrying, is going to amount to nothing less than $20 million. And that is, in fact, a nightmare for the entire shipping industry, Pratibha. But more importantly, whether or not that actually translates onto paper, we'll have to see, given that even Iran and Oman have not been able to really spell out how they are going to levy that toll fee. But as far as the return of the US naval blockade is concerned, the US president said that this will be again back to what it was between, say, April 13 and June 18, when the non-compliant ships were returned. The compliant ships were given a safe passage. Now, what could be a non-compliant ship according to the US Navy could very much be a compliant ship according to Iran, depending on their own allies. So over here, it's in fact the shipping industry and countries which are in fact caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, because if you could be a friendly nation to the United States, it could very well be the opposite case for Iran. So that means that you will still be targeted by the IRGC if the US CENTCOM still gives you a safe passage out here. So it is the shipping industry which is currently caught in this quagmire between the United States and Iran. Is there going to be an alternate route? We do not see so, because remember, the Bab al-Mandab is also another route which was being targeted by the Houthi rebels. They had in fact declared, and yesterday we've seen how Yemen is back in the line of fire as the Sana'a airport, the airport in Sana'a had to be evacuated. So the situation remains extremely tensed and on tenterhooks, not just for these commercial vessels, but also for the many seafarers. In fact, 180 to 200 of them are from India, which are currently stranded there.
Yes.
The Indian government will have to kick into action at the soonest.
Yes, lives that are at risk, and also what it means for the economy as well, because this is going to have a very dramatic escalation in the costs. We have more breaking updates coming in of the standoff in the Strait of Hormuz growing sharper by the hour. Remember, this blockade started at about 2:30 a.m. and now Iran has issued a strong warning to the United States, saying it will not allow Washington to interfere in the management of the strategic waterway. This warning comes after the US President Donald Trump announced the reinstatement of the American naval blockade. And Mayank, we've seen the result of this, because Iran has clearly said that it's not going to accept it. But that means that even if the US naval blockade actually continues, the vessels passing from there could still be targeted, even by the Iranian drones.
Pratibha, the 2 points actually are important to understand the geography of this area. Strait of Hormuz happens to be on the deeper side of this narrow passage of water. Gulf of Oman is actually the entry point or the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz, through which the people or the vessels, they enter either Strait of Hormuz or they exit the Strait of Hormuz. So these are two separate entities. And mind it, Iran had been saying that they'll be, whatever the arrangements will be made, will be in conjunction or together with Oman in that case. But what happens, IRGC right from the beginning has claimed that it is them who are going to control or regulate also. Thus, what they said is actually permissions will have to come from IRGC. And there has to be a corridor which has to be followed, which they chalked out. And they had been saying that anything moving out of that corridor is going to become illegitimate. Thus, they'll be firing upon them the missiles and the drones. And the missiles you saw last time was cruise missiles, which were fired, making it deadlier for the people passing through that. It becomes psychologically threatening for every vessel operator in that area. And as has been rightly brought out by Akansha, these highly capital-intensive cargoes which move from that side, and that could go from not only $1 billion or even above that. So this is the kind of a danger which follows or lurks around that area. And even if what you saw is actually, if naval blockade has started from the US side, last time the ships which were not even moving towards Iran were hit, being said that they were sanctioned part of the ships actually. Thus what happens, it really becomes complicated and ambiguity remains there. So what we might see on the ground is actually people might start movement of their vessels, which are highly capital intensive, Pratibha.
Okay, all right. We have more breaking updates coming in of the US Central Command completing the latest wave of strikes against Iran at 10:15 p.m. This is the official statement from the United States. During the 5-hour mission, U.S. forces successfully struck military targets across Iran. And they've given details of these attacks as well, saying this is to further degrade Iran's ability to attack commercial shipping. So, Akanksha, the U.S. Strikes also continue, a fresh wave of strikes, and U.S. going on to say, of course, that this is to degrade Iran's ability to attack.
Oh, absolutely. And they are continuing to attack the southern province of Iran. As we've seen, the latest strikes in this round that has been embarked on by CENTCOM, I can tell you these explosions have been reported in Kish Island, in Qeshm Island, in Bushehr and Bandar Abbas yet again. So Bushehr, Bandar Abbas, Qeshm, they happen to be repeatedly getting pounded by the U.S. forces. And as you rightly highlighted, the CENTCOM is looking towards degrading Iran's military capabilities. What does that mean? Well, yes, these are also their military sites housing their drones, their military installations, but more importantly, because it is adjoining to the Strait of Hormuz, it's also one of the critical reserves for oil and for crude as well. We do not know for how long will they be sparing Karg Island as well. So it is a very critical time, and as much as US may want to maintain that they are degrading the military capabilities of the IRGC, the fact of the matter remains that IRGC is still very much sitting over a pile of missiles. They still have the drones and the attack prowess to go and target these shipping vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. What is the US Navy doing about IRGC's capabilities to be stopping these ships and to be attacking these seafarers? There's nothing that they can do about it, because even if they are continuing with these strikes, remember, these are strikes only in the coastal region of southern Iran, which is adjoining to the Strait of Hormuz. They've not been able to penetrate central Iran. There was, in fact, an explosion reported yesterday in central Iran. Some days ago, even Tehran was targeted, but the US forces have not really made it to, say, the deeper parts of Iran, which is why the IRGC is still equally fortified.
Okay, all right, Akanksha and Mayank, thank you for getting us all those details. But look at the numbers. Imagine that more than 50,000 US service members are currently deployed across the Middle East. Is it sustainable for the United States? What's going to happen next? These questions still continue, but for now, there has been a very, very dramatic escalation. With that, it's time for us to slip into a very quick break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us.